Welcome everyone to the Origin DeFi community call. This is where we share what we're working on as a core team, but also invite everyone in the community to contribute, whether you're an engineer or an existing OUSD holder, OGN investor, or just a DeFi enthusiast. It's an opportunity for you to get involved, share your perspective, and help shape what we're doing as a team. On today's agenda, we'll start by recognizing some highlights and lowlights from the past couple of weeks. We'll have a few demos and walkthroughs from some engineers. Then we'll do a little sprint planning, followed by some product and business discussions. Lastly, we'll invite anyone who's joining us for the first time to introduce themselves, tell us what they're working on, what they're excited about in DeFi, how they learned about Origin, that sort of thing. And we'll probably get to those introductions in about 45 minutes, I think. Quick reminder, we have a back channel in our Discord server, which you can access at originprotocol.com/Discord. And we'll be posting some links there. People ask some questions, and we'll just continue the conversation in the Origin Dollar discussion channel. All right, let's start with an announcement, which is that unfortunately we saw Cover Protocol shut down last week. So that's obviously no longer a good option for insuring OUSD. But of course, Nexus Mutual is. So Max, do you want to talk for a minute about what you were exploring with the Nexus team?
Yeah, sure thing. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so Nexus Mutual has a few different options for coverage. One of them is for yield tokens, that it protects against failures of the protocol and any of the protocols that are used by that particular token. For example, you have Yearn LP tokens that are covered by that. Currently, OUSD is considered or is covered just under that protocol category, which means that only a failure within the individual protocol is covered, but not any of the underlying protocols, like our yield farming strategies, would be covered. So I'm currently reaching out to the Nexus Mutual team to see if we can get OUSD added to their yield token category, which would mean that if there were an issue with any of the underlying strategies that we're using, that these would be also covered when you're buying coverage through Nexus Mutual. And so they said that we should get an answer, or they'll discuss it today. So I'm expecting something this week, and hopefully you have an update by next week for the DeFi weekly call then.
Very cool. Thanks for noticing that and pursuing that with the team. Josh or anyone else have any comments on the Cover Protocol shutting down?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the numbers on it, Nexus Mutual has just been dominating, and Cover Protocol has always been more complicated to use, and there just wasn't as much liquidity there. So I think it's actually, for users, Nexus Mutual is a lot easier for them to understand, and there's a lot more liquidity. So I think it makes it an easy choice for us to promote that to our users, for people who want to add some additional coverage to their USD holdings. It's a great option. And there continues to be, deep liquidity available, and also pretty cheap rates. Last time I looked, I think it was something like $10 million of coverage available at 2.6% annual rate, which, given you can get somewhere around 15% on USD. You lose a couple of percentage points, but you get that peace of mind in exchange.
Good deal. Thanks for looking into that, everyone. Let's move to highlights and lowlights, where we'll recognize some things to note from the last couple of weeks. There are a few positive things that I wanted to note. The first is that I've had several different new users of OUSD tell me that they learned about it from Stansberry Crypto Cash Flow Research. I haven't seen what that looks like, so I don't know what they're saying, but they must be saying good things about OUSD because people seem to be excited about it. And so I don't know if anyone here happens to have a subscription to that. If you do, let us know. There have also been some rapid improvements to the DApp, thanks to Domen and Kuroge. That's like, it's something that we like to do more of. I think as Josh has mentioned before, we don't want to over polish things. We want to as soon as we get some feedback, we want to incorporate. We rapidly iterate on the product, and that definitely happened over the last couple of weeks. So thanks, guys. Daniel, you wanted to mention that the OUSD swap contract is seeing some usage.
Yeah, the flipper is kind of sold out of OUSD twice, and last time was just took like 48 hours or so. So we're putting more OUSD in it, but it's definitely actively being used, and it's always going to be the cheapest possible from a gas point of view way to get OUSD. So yeah, it's happy to see how much it's being used, and if you look at OUSD analytics on Etherscan, you can see that the number of unique addresses interacting with OUSD has doubled over the last week and basically held steady, I think, approximately since the ETH crash there. But that's nice to see. It basically doubles. It's the second highest it's been. We had one peak that was higher before around the time of KuCoin launch. But other than that, yeah, we basically doubled how many unique addresses a day are interacting with OUSD.
That's great.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And for anyone who's not as familiar with that contract, it swaps stablecoins one-to-one for OUSD or vice versa with zero slippage and relatively low gas cost, as Daniel was saying. And we currently have a limit of up to $25,000 per transaction on that. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
So it'd be good to keep, the OUSD balance at least at around 25,000 or higher. And I'll come back to that topic a little bit later in the product discussion. One other cute little thing that I thought was really cool is we have monitoring bot in our Discord server that keeps track of governance proposals and stuff like that on Compound, on Aave. And it picked up our OUSD factory pool proposal on Curve, which is pretty cool to see that in the wild. So great work, Mike, actually, several months ago, setting up that monitoring. Matt, do you want to highlight something on the NFT side that was launching in the last few hours?
Yeah, so really special day for us at Origin. So for the last few weeks, we've been working on a pretty secretive project with Inspiration 4. And Inspiration 4, you will be seeing a lot of headlines this upcoming week. It is a private space mission that's powered by SpaceX's rockets. Inspiration 4 has 4 civilians going to the space, doing a 3-day mission. They are raising awareness for St. Jude Children's Hospital. The leader of Inspiration 4 has personally committed $100 million of his own capital to donate, and has coordinated with many, many different organizations and people to do additional fundraising for the cause. And so what we've done with Inspiration 4 is we are doing a NFT drop that coincides with the mission launch. So at takeoff, at liftoff from Kennedy, we will begin the NFT sale, and then at splashdown or reentry, then the NFT sale will end. We've collaborated with approximately 50 NFT artists that have donated pieces to this special event for free, all for charity. And so this is going to be a big event in the entire NFT community. The astronauts themselves are contributing. So the mission pilot is bringing her artwork into space, right? And so this will be a really cool opportunity where there will be NFTs that represent things that are actually in space. She's also going to do her best to try to bring some of the other audiovisual NFTs on like an iPad or something to space, although that's still TBD. But in any case, this is like a very, very cool event. We really like it because it contributes to a very good cause. A bunch of us here at Origin are also space buffs. And I think most importantly, it just really brings together the crypto community, right? And so I think it's going to be great from a branding perspective. It's going to be great for just showcasing the NFT product that we've built, getting more exposure to top artists, but also exposure for NFTs to the broader mainstream, and what this technology can be used for, what it can represent, how it can do good. One interesting detail to mention is that in addition to the art NFTs, which are being minted on the Ethereum blockchain, we are also doing a very special mission patch NFT that's minted on Polygon layer 2. And the idea here is many NFTs have sold for a lot of money, but they're not very accessible to mainstream audiences. But with this Polygon NFT, it's being priced at $4. It can be purchased with a credit card. No crypto experience is required. And we think that this is a great opportunity to introduce to the world that NFTs can be something that everyday people can start interacting with and start using and buying. NFTs are going to become much more accessible and mainstream, and so let's show the world this. So, anyways, a lot to unpack here, but a lot of people have been working very, very hard under very stressful conditions the last couple weeks. It was kind of like a last-minute thing that we rallied the troops for. There's a lot of coordination that needed to be done with Inspiration 4, getting approvals from SpaceX, getting approvals from St. Jude on, and coordinating with, almost 50 artists, right? So it was just a tremendous effort by the team. I especially want to call out Chase, who was able to, wrangle people from 4 different organizations and keep everyone organized and get everything put together. So she really, really showed her skills here, and just want to publicly thank her for that. But yeah, we're really, really excited about this NFT sale. It starts in a couple of days. Encourage people to check it out, spread the word. If you still feel inclined, it's like a really, really cool event. And even if you don't want to purchase one of the more expensive Ethereum NFTs, I'd encourage folks listening to this call to consider picking up one of the $4 Polygon NFTs. It's just a great way to get involved. It's not very expensive, and all proceeds are going to charity. So nothing really in it for us here at Origin, except being able to contribute to this cause and engage with the crypto community, and also hopefully, like I said, the mainstream community with NFTs.
Awesome, thanks, Matt. And that those NFTs are being sold at what is it? NFT.goingtospace.org. Com. Sorry, I should know that.
Yeah, I'll drop the link. Wait, how do we do this in Discord?
We just use a normal channels.
Yeah. NFT.goingtospace.com.
Perfect, and thanks especially to as you mentioned, Chase, but also Aaron, who really stepped up and is helping promote that project. And just you touched on the fact that Polygon's that one of those NFTs is being minted on Polygon, but this is the first time I believe that we are selling a Polygon minted NFT, and that of course was the result of a governance proposal that we talked about here in this meeting, I think. About a month ago, so it's pretty exciting.
Cool.
Any other
credit card accepted? And this is also the first NFT we could use a credit card to buy, right?
Not the first one with credit card, but certainly the first one in that kind of price range. So makes it much more accessible.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yep. Any other highlights to recognize from the past couple of weeks that we didn't already mention? If you, yep.
No, but fingers crossed that we'll have more the next couple of weeks, working on a couple other pretty exciting NFT drops that we'll hopefully be able to share soon.
Perfect. Yeah, we got to save something for next week. We can't do it all today. All right. Let's talk about lowlights also while we're here. There's one that stood out for me, which is that we had a user attempting to swap USDC for OUSD on the DApp. There's a little bit of user confusion that we're working through, but there was one transaction that he had submitted to the OUSD swap contract that it was just the approval transaction, not the swap transaction, and it ran out of gas. His gas limit that was set was not that much lower, and it was not a round number, so it doesn't look like one of those cases where somebody tries to set it arbitrarily low with a nice round number. So that's probably something we should look into and see if we can figure out why that might have happened. But anyway, I filed a GitHub issue. It's not an emergency. There's no security concerns there. It's just a little bit of waste of gas and a less than ideal user experience. Any other lowlights that anyone wants to recognize? If you think of something, don't be shy about putting it in the meeting notes, or just let us know and we can talk about it a little bit later. Let's move on to engineering discussion, where we have a few demos or walkthroughs, and we can start with Daniel, if you're ready to talk about Chainlink Keepers.
Yeah, so we put together a test implementation of the Chainlink Keeper this week and have it deployed. We're just waiting on approval from them to start testing it out. It will rebase OUSD every night at midnight Pacific time. That also, besides being convenient, also happens to be the start of the low gas period, or kind of in the middle of the low gas times, day and night. So it's nice to be able to do our operations when gas is cheap. The long-term plan is to look at switching out all the rebasing that OUSD does for happening at a specific time. But what this does is it gives us a consistent rebase. You know that OUSD will rebase every night. So hopefully Chainlink will approve that this week and we'll have it live and then adjust from there. Back to you, Micah.
How soon are you thinking we'll do the turn off ability for people to rebase at any random time? Is that like a big change for us to roll that out?
We could throw it in with the contract redeploys after the audit stuff is all done. The change itself is fairly small. It's just taking out places that says rebase. So I think it could definitely go. I'd like to see it running like this first for a few days at least before we take it out of the actual contract. But yeah,
makes sense.
That'll make mints cheaper and yeah, just be less gas and put everything predictable then.
And what's the plan for the harvest and auto allocate calls? Would those still be triggered by large mints and redeems, or would they be moved to keepers?
As long as it works in the keeper, I think we're talking about running them automatically from the keeper once a week, and we could take them out of the mints and other things as well when we do the rebases out. Well, that works, Josh.
How hard is it for us to actually sort of do a pre-flight test, see how much money we would make if we were to harvest and then kind of make the call on whether to run the keeper or not, versus having it running on a schedule?
Well, I guess the schedule has predictability. We, roughly speaking, how much it harvests is based on sort of the price of the stuff plus how much OUSD we have in the total supply. And so since the total supply stays pretty consistently up, it's not I don't know that we gain a huge amount by harvesting off the time. I think the predictability is better, as long as we know that this schedule of harvest works. then
I
time
guess,
based seems fine.
yeah. I guess today,
you know,
like a week is a good amount of time, but if we have a few $100 million in there, which fingers crossed we'll soon have,
yes,
then
faster than
a week is going to be kind of an eternity as far as the harvesting goes.
yes. So the contract itself lets us toggle days on. So you can, right, it kind of has just a bit field of which days of the week to run things on. And so you could change it to, set a keeper to run, 3 days a week or something on the days that you picked. Otherwise, once we have a bigger amount, it's certainly theoretically easy enough to make the should it run thing do a simulated harvest, see how much more money it had, and then trigger based off that. So it's not too hard to do. And I think at that point we just have two keepers. We'd have one for the rebase that runs on kind of a clock cycle, and one for the harvest that runs off of a percentage amount cycle.
Makes sense.
And maybe just to add a little bit of context here, there are a couple of different user experience objectives that we have. The first complaint is that people don't see OUSD holders don't see their wallet balances going up as frequently as they would expect. And so with this initial keepers implementation, calling rebase once a day, users will be able to expect their in-wallet balance to go up every day. And then the secondary concern that we're talking about with Harvest is that regardless of your OUSD balance going up predictably, the APY is completely dependent on how frequently we claim rewards from governance tokens that we get on, Compound or Aave or wherever. And so the more frequently we call that harvest function, or the more frequently a keeper calls it or someone does, then it will smooth out that APY and make it more predictable, all else being equal. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions or comments about the Chainlink Keepers integration that Daniel's been working on?
How much gas is it on a low network gas cost?
It's about 400,000 to call rebase, and it's currently for allocate and harvest. It's about 2.2 million. As we re-add more strategies, that could go up more from there to maybe 3 or something.
Okay.
So the rebase isn't that bad.
Yeah. And how does funding work with Chainlink Keepers again? Like who pays for
You have
gas
to
and how?
buy. Yeah, at the moment we would have to send link tokens to that Chainlink contract, or not to. It doesn't go directly to the keeper, but you have to send it to their registry on behalf of the keeper, I believe. So it's funded with Link. They basically charge you the price of Link converted. The gas cost you spend converted to Link plus 20%. I'm assuming in the long term we could make the buyback contract automatically fund it, and just so that it's self-sustaining and running. At this point, I want to see it run and then evaluate, and so we just manually fund it. And I threw like a couple days in there just to see it go. So we'll need to come up with a short-term solution and a long-term solution on it.
Very cool. I think this will be a great product improvement, not to mention it's always good to work closely with other respected teams like Chainlink who are doing really cool stuff. All right. Next demo we have from Kuroge. You ready to do that one?
Hey, yeah. Let's see. So I think everyone has to click view stream to see.
Yep.
Oh, you could see it. Okay. So I found this issue that Frank found, and I thought it was a good impact for that, where we updated the nav bars to display this what is it called? this like switch network dialog, and I thought this was a bit ambiguous. What was there before? Because sometimes if you're already connected before, it would show your balance, but even if you're in the wrong network, the balance wouldn't update to 0. And I know there might be a big population where they can't see colors. Here's an example of the colorblind chart, where like this one is pretty similar. So Domain and I worked on updating the nav bar, and we took out this pill, the origin dollar balance pill, since we also have it here, and then we added the text with our. I think we work with Ari, right? And the dialog to everywhere where it shows is network connected. But if we do that, then it would just pop up randomly. Like even if you're not using the page, it would just pop up and kind of annoy users. So I put it into a link on the top where if it's in the wrong network, you could see it's the wrong network here. Or it's a button, and then click it, and it should pop up. And then you could switch.
Very cool.
Very cool. And just to be clear, Kuroge, you said that we were working on this. This was all you. I didn't do anything here, so it was all it was all you.
Thanks for the approvals and checking.
Yeah, it's these small things. They may be seemingly small features, but they actually add up to really improve the user experience. Where otherwise people might get confused or abandon it because they don't know what's going on. And so these little improvements could go a really long way, especially right now when we're seeing a surge in usage of alternate chains and layer 2 solutions. Many of which are using MetaMask, and people might be, on Binance Chain over here, or on Matic over there, and forget to switch that back. So, great work here, Kuroge, and really appreciate that contribution.
Cool. Thanks. Cool. And I guess some next steps that I was thinking of, we could translate the text here. And then, what else was there? Make it mobile friendly, so it also shows the text when it's in the mobile. And when people first connect the wallet, it shows a dialog of like MetaMask, Wallet Connect, and something else. And we could also put the network switching on that dialog. So I guess that's possible new issues.
Very cool. Yeah, thanks so much for the attention to detail, because there's certainly several aspects of that I hadn't thought of, for sure. And like I mentioned earlier, it's a great example of rapid iteration where Frank, just like a week or two ago, happened to be looking at, I think, the Cream DApp, and he was on Rinkeby, and so it told him, hey, you need to switch networks. He mentioned it. We filed the issue. Kuroge jumped on it. And it's a great example of the workflow that we'd like to have. Anything else or any other questions on that project? Well, thanks again. And if not, we'll pass it off to Doman to do a quick demo. And don't forget to stop sharing your screen whenever you're ready.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. I think I think the same process is going to be here as in Kurobe. You're probably going to have to click the watch stream.
Yeah, I had to close his stream first, and now I can click watch stream on yours. I don't know if other people have to do that, but take it away.
Cool. Thanks. Okay, so one thing that we did in the past week was also made a UI refresh to the whole swap screen of the OUSD dApp. The main reasons were that so this is what you're seeing right now is what's currently live, and the top kind of like balance header was we sort of like neglected it a bit for the last couple of time because it went like through all of these changes and I guess so we haven't gotten to it. And then the other thing is this contract screen became initially we only had like 3 items here and it wasn't so problematic, but now that we have 6 items, it gets like really data dense and heavy and doesn't really breathe the same look and feel as like other parts of the app. So what we currently have on staging, so that's the proposal that we're gonna deploy probably soon, is revamped header screen where there's like a lot more emphasis on the APY, and also thanks to Daniel for changing this from 7-day to 30-day, which should provide like a lot more stable APY that's gonna fluctuate less. So yeah, there's a link to that was present already before. Maybe a new thing is lifetime earnings, which you can click on now, and it's gonna take you to analytics where there's like a breakdown of how much you earned, transfers in, transfers out, some kind of like basic account information. And the other part is, let me just put in some value here, is this bottom part where it shows like the best route for your transaction. I think already did like a great job making this look nice. And again, we only show 3 items here since we're thinking you're probably not going to be initially interested in all of the kind of like the worst options you can take, but you can view them by clicking show more. So in this case Uniswap, SushiSwap, and Curve would be worse options for this sort of like small swap. And yeah, and when go ahead. Did somebody try to say something?
It might have been an echo for a second. I'm not sure.
Okay. And there's also like a prompt in case you click on a different one, so it cannot be like what's a misclick or a fat finger thing if you're on mobile. So when you click on a different route, it asks you, are you sure? The Uniswap V2 of.
I had one other question, Doman, on that, which was you showed the confirmation prompt in case somebody didn't know what they were doing. Does that only show once per user per browser, or does that show up like if I come back a week from now and do this again?
It's currently 1 per user per session. So I can make that whatever we decide, either persist between sessions or on any on any change, right, of the optimal route.
I think how you have it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Did you say that once per session is okay, or?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's great. I wasn't anticipating that prompt, but I think it does make sense, especially for the first time you're using it. And of course, we took some inspiration from the newer version of 1inch, where you don't get a confirmation prompt, but it's pretty clear what's happening. There's just like the default option and one other option. So I think this is good, and this is just one more thing that we should put some analytics on so we can understand how people are using it and whether people are clicking these things or not at all.
Yeah, maybe just something that'd be useful. Josh had like a feedback that while it's searching for the price, it's the title here is gonna say, finding the best price for you. But when it's empty, I don't know. I've set it to best price will be displayed here, and once it's found, it's gonna say best price for your transaction. So maybe there can be better text for this part. So if you have any suggestions, that'd be like very helpful.
Yeah, I'll give it some thought. Maybe something like finding your best price or comparing prices or something that's more action oriented. It's probably better.
Okay.
Or just less text and just kill it.
Okay.
I'm okay with that as well. Yeah, I think it's pretty self-evident what's going on at this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Amazing work. Thanks so much, Doman, for continuing to push forward on that.
Thanks.
Any other engineering specific discussion topics that anyone had in mind, or any demos anybody wants to do without much notice? We'll get into sprint planning otherwise here in just a minute. Let me close the stream, and I think we're good to go. Okay. Let's talk about sprint planning. Of course, we do 2-week sprint cycles. We have one that's ending on this Wednesday and another one starting on Thursday. So let's talk through some of the existing sprint priorities and see where we stand on those. And I think Tom had a question that impacts prioritization of some of these things. Do you want to start with that, Tom?
Sure. So for the audit changes, we basically need to redeploy almost everything. And so I kind of figured we should probably try and do an upgrade of our Solidity version as well, because if we redeploy everything now for the audit and then do this upgrade, we'll have to redeploy everything again. We missed this meeting last week, so I didn't really get to ask for feedback on that idea. And I kind of started doing it last week instead of doing the upgrade stuff. So I've got a draft pull request up. It's most of the way there. All the tests pass. But we sort of have to think about how, if we want to try and include that in the audit, it's probably outside of the scope of what we agreed initially. But perhaps we could negotiate there while it's still fresh in their mind. It's not, the changes aren't too significant, but there is a few little gotchas, that stuff we were doing that we can no longer do because of some changes to casting and stuff like that. So I just wanted to sort of get everyone's feedback on the idea of trying to get this upgrade in before we start redeploying everything. Yeah.
I think it makes total sense, and we should definitely ask Open Zeppelin to do us a favor on reviewing it and throwing it in with everything else. It's at least worth asking.
Yeah, I know that is a huge amount of code changes, but I do think it does make sense to go in with going live, because so I guess my question was, you've marked it as draft, but is it basically ready for us to start looking at, Tom?
Yeah, I'll mark it as ready for review. It's not perfect, but I could definitely benefit from early feedback to see if there's better ways of doing certain things, because it is a large amount of changes, as you said.
Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah. So I'll start taking a look at that.
Just out of curiosity, is there anything in particular that we gain by upgrading Solidity, or
there's a few new features that we can use. One's the immutable model keyword, which lets us, we've got 2 copies of a couple of contracts, one for tests and one for not tests, which we can get rid of, which I've actually got rid of those in that pull request. We can get rid of safe math libraries if we want to, although I haven't gone the full way with getting rid of all of those. I got it out of some contracts. There's a lot of sort of, they enforce typecasting and a lot of different compiler warnings. So it's a big cleanup on some stuff that we probably shouldn't have been doing, which is good.
Okay, and this impacts the timeline of other upgrades that we were in the process of doing, if I'm not mistaken. So the Aave strategy redeployment that was originally planned for last week or whenever, what would the new timeline be like that for that, do you think?
So yeah, I would try and get all this in and merged, and then carry on like getting the Aave strategy back and the vault and stuff back. Here's another option. We could get the Aave strategy back running, and then do this upgrade, and then do the rest of the deployments, which is another sort of modified flow of things.
You could potentially do the Aave deploy after doing the code upgrade, but we deploy just that strategy at first, and that give us one strategy running on the new, one piece of code running live before switching everything over to the new Solidity version. Otherwise, we already have a deploy script written for it, so it's easy. It's technically easy enough to deploy it whenever. It doesn't have to be a part of the same deploy for everything.
Tom, should we let you guys make this decision in Discord after the meeting, or is there anything else that you wanted to discuss about it here?
This is Frank. I think it's really going to depend on the timelines for the Open Zeppelin audit of these changes to these Solidity changes. So maybe we should ping them ASAP, try to secure their time.
Okay, that sounds good. Tom, you want to lead the charge on that?
I can. Daniel might be better to do it. He's been talking to them a bit, or I can just jump in there. I haven't really communicated with them very much.
Daniel, you want to take the lead on it then?
Yeah, I'll do that after this call.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's follow up on the decision in Discord then after we're done here. I just realized how long we've been going, and we're a little bit short on time. So unless there's anything else in sprint planning that stands out that warrants discussion here, I think we should skip through the rest of that. Just know that we're working on what the sprint priorities will be starting on Thursday, and we've got several candidates here in the meeting notes that may or may not make the cut. So take a look at that, leave some comments, and we'll follow up in Discord on that too. I will also skip or not spend very much time on the product discussion topics that I had here. I've mentioned in prior meetings that I wanted to revisit the metrics and analytics strategy that we had conceived of a year or so ago, and revisit that, make it a higher priority for the upcoming sprint. So I started jotting down some notes in that doc, some questions that I've had about our usage. So take a look at that, leave some comments as well. And then also we talked earlier about the OUSD swap approval transaction that ran out of gas. And so it made me wonder, we have this really great monitoring on all of the contracts that OUSD depends on, but I don't think we have any monitoring on that contract or on AMMs or other exchange activity, which is less critical, but can be really informative about usage. So just think about that. It might be something that we want to work a little bit more on in the coming weeks as we try to better understand adoption and that sort of thing, and just keep better tabs on when the OUSD contract is out of funds and when it's people are attempting to use it but running into problems. So anyway, think about that, and we'll come back to it in Discord, I'm sure. Josh, let me turn it over to you because I know you got a lot to cover here on the Curve side, and then Matt was going to give a quick update on the NFT roadmap, and then if anybody wanted to introduce themselves, we'll do that at the end of the hour.
Great. Yeah, there's a lot of progress on the Curve side. You can see kind of in the notes here what's going on, but let me just run through it quickly. So first thing is we have a governance vote up that will change the the A factor on the bonding curve on our pool. By default, it's set to 10. When you, or at least when we deployed our permissionless pool, it defaulted you to 10, which gives you a pretty rounded curve, versus 100 gives you a much flatter curve, which is more appropriate for stablecoins. It also means that people will be able to buy larger amounts with less slippage on curve, which is something we want to encourage, and it will be beneficial for our users. So that is up for a vote right now. Hopefully the curve team will jump in and support us on that vote. We also have OGN rewards added to our gauge. So this will mean that people who stake their LP tokens in our gauge will be eligible for not only CRV rewards, but also OGN rewards as well. So the way it works is they have to be deposited from our hot wallet. So we can manually do that on Etherscan. It has to come from that specific wallet for it to work. And then the rewards are streamed over 7 days starting from the time when we deposit. And if we re-up, it just kind of get added into that pool. We're currently waiting on the Curve team to update the UI again. It's been a recurring theme working with them. They tend to move fast, but first version rarely works. But they're really good at coming back and fixing stuff as they go. So they promise that's going to be coming soon, so you'll be able to see exactly what the rewards are that you're getting, both in CRV terms as well as OGN terms. We've just put like 1,000 OGN there just for testing purposes, so you can watch for that in the Curve UI. We're also getting ready to offer bribes to locked CRV holders. This is a relatively small but very influential group of people who get to vote on how the CRV rewards are distributed between all the different pools. And they're also mercenary, so they're not above taking bribes and selling their votes. And so if you want to have a larger share of CRV emissions, they have a nice tool called bribe.crv.finance, where you can offer financial incentives for people to vote for your pool. And so we're not above paying for bribes, and so we're going to be using that tool to increase the number, basically increase the CRV portion of the yield. This will make it more attractive for LPs to come into that pool, which will in turn increase the circulating supply of Origin Dollar. So we aren't actually able to participate in this week, in this week's bribes campaign. The reason is that the formula for calculating the emission uses the number of votes that the pool got last week, and our pool didn't exist last week. So, the gauge didn't exist last week, so it throws a divide by zero error, and so we can't do it until next week. But we're not quite ready to turn that on anyway. But starting to look at what other people are doing, and I put some numbers here in the notes on kind of what the effective APYs are that are being offered by our competitors. So right now, Matic, NSBT, ALCX, there's a handful of different people are offering rewards here. I assume that most people are just going to go with whichever one's going to offer them the highest yield, although for maybe, for Matic, for example, it's on the Polygon network. So there may be some subset of people who, will go for the highest one on Ethereum, for example, if they can't be bothered, dealing with multiple networks. But we'll want to keep an eye on what other people are spending and make sure that we're competitive so that we can get the attention of those voters. Looks like most of our competitors spending in the neighborhood of like 100 to 200K a week on bribes. So just as a sort of a sense of scale on what it will take for us to actually move the needle here. One thing is really cool, one cool update, all of the permissionless pools that Curve has are going to be merged in with their existing like tools that are on the homepage of curve.fi. So Origin Dollars is going to end up on the curve.fi homepage instead of being buried in the factory pools page as it is right now. So that's cool to hear. We have some mocks that Ari's put together on how we're going to promote the liquidity mining campaign. We're going to be replacing the OGN staking campaigns that we've had and promoting the liquidity mining campaigns instead. So I added a link there. You can check out the Zeppelin mocks for that. One question for feedback here is how we want to show these APYs. There's actually like 3 different numbers that we need to communicate. One is the base APY, which is what you're earning from fees. Second is the range of APYs that you're getting from CRV. It's a range because it depends on how much locked CRV you have. It acts as if you have more locked CRV, it acts as a multiplier effect on your APY. So we need to account for that. And then the third thing, of course, is the OGN APY. So we can either show those 3 different numbers. That's how we have it in the box right now. We could also roll it all up and just give you one range. Maybe we do, roll it all up and give you one big range at the top and then small numbers underneath. But if you have any feedback on that, it's probably easiest if you just comment in Zeppelin on those mocks and if you have any ideas on how we should present that. And then just sort of running through the timeline here. We're going to, we're blocked on being able to add bribes. We're also waiting to, deploy the new contracts, publish our audit from Open Zeppelin. We're going to be asking people to really ape in here with, lots and lots of money. And so we want to do everything we can to set ourselves up for success and really put people's minds at ease that this is secure, they can trust us. We just want to make sure that security is a non-concern for them. So obviously we want to publish that report. We want to update the page on the Origin Dollar website so that people can promote it. And then we'll need to go ahead and add all the rewards to these pools and then announce the campaign. So that's kind of high level on timing, a little bit blocked and dependent on getting the Curve UI fixed and then also getting the Open Zeppelin audit complete. So we're probably still a few weeks away from being able to go live with this, but we're definitely making progress and getting close.
Very cool. Anyone have questions or comments about the Curve proposal? One quick thing to note is that you would need to have access to Zeppelin to be able to comment on those mocks. So I'm going to put the screenshot or an image in the discussion channel. But if you do want access to those OUSD screens in Zeppelin, just send me a message and I'll be happy to add you. I think it just needs your email address that's associated with your Zeppelin account. Josh, you want to talk about Argent Wallet real quick?
Yeah, so Argent Wallet is a great mobile wallet that's been rising in popularity. They offer smart wallets, so we use smart contracts to hold the funds and basically do a multi-sig, but in a more user-friendly way. And so the downside of this is that people who send OUSD to these smart wallets don't get any yield, and there's also no way for them to opt into yield as it stands right now, because there's no open dApp browser. But you have a wallet and that's it. So someone on our team, maybe Coleman, would be good for you to reach out, start a conversation with them. There's a couple of different ways we could go. One would be just detecting if there's Origin Dollar in the wallet and then showing some sort of opt-in button for people to get yield. And then they also have like an app store where we would obviously love to be featured as well. But it's not a dApp browser. It's like these are custom integrations that we've built that match the look and feel of their app. So probably a little bit more of a bigger project there, but we'd obviously love to do that as well. So I'll put that as a to-do for Coleman to kick that off. And then Matt, do you want to talk about the NFT roadmap? Or anyone else want to give a roadmap update?
Is Matt still here?
I'm sorry, I was muted. I didn't realize I was muted. I was just talking for a while. Yeah, so anyways, NFT roadmap. I think externally, a lot of people have seen that, we've been working on Launchpad for a while. We've been doing drops largely with pretty well-known names, whether they're celebs or influencers. As mentioned earlier in the call, today we're doing this big announcement with Inspiration 4 that has ties to SpaceX and a bunch of NFT artists. In the background, what we've been doing is we've been preparing the platform to become a much more broadly used platform. And so we've been working with these artists that have been dropping on our site to refine the creator tools, right? Tools that creators can be using to plan their NFT drops, set up their sales structures, figure out how to be successful as if it was like a Shopify for NFTs. So good news, bad news. Good news, we've been making a lot of progress. We've been learning how to make the platform better. Bad news, which is also good news, is we've also learned some of the areas where creators are getting stuck and we need to improve some of the user experiences to make them more successful. So there's a lot of ongoing work beneath the covers where we're starting to get more and more creators onboarded. Eventually, what we want to get to is a place where it's a democratized platform, right? It's permissionless. You don't really need to go through us as gatekeepers in terms of, are you big enough of an artist? Are you going to require handholding? The idea is to get to self-serve and let anyone be able to launch their own stores to sell NFTs in a very streamlined user experience. So that's the big mission that we're shooting for. We have a number of key updates to the platform before we can open up to self-serve. So one of them is both increasing the amount of payment options as well as simplifying the user experience for collectors. There's a lot of interesting and challenging currency volatility type issues that we're solving. And once that gets into place, I think we'll be able to run more robust auctions as well as things like evergreen sales where NFTs don't have to be dropped. They can just be listed as products, just like e-commerce products are on Shopify. Other features include better Web3 wallet integration, streamlining the experience there. We also have marketplace features that we're working on and a long list of other things. So there's a pretty extensive roadmap. We're going for pretty rapid sprints. Nothing to announce as to exactly when we open it up just yet, other than we will be updating community folks soon as to when we're planning to do the big unveil of the new platform. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff happening in NFT land.
Thanks, Matt. Anyone have any questions about NFT roadmap? Of course, there was a governance proposal a few weeks ago to talk about NFTs either every other week during this same time slot or as a part of this meeting. So we definitely wanted to try to do that and address some of those questions. If there aren't any today, then I think the last thing on the agenda is to open it up for any introductions. If anyone would like to say what they've been working on, what they're excited about, how you ended up here, that sort of thing, feel free to unmute and let us know what's going on. If there aren't any introductions today, then please join us next week. Invite a friend. We'll definitely be here. And we have a few action items that resulted from this one that I noted. One was for Coleman to reach out to the Argent Wallet team. Also for Daniel to discuss the Solidity upgrade with Open Zeppelin team. I still need to make a little bit more progress on the analytics and metrics doc. And then I also have not forgotten, Doman, I will write up some tooltip content for the swap screen. I think we just needed to figure out exactly which tooltips we were going to keep, which ones we weren't, but I think we're pretty close to that now. And I think that's everything that we had on the list so far. If there's something that I missed, please add it to the meeting notes. And otherwise, we will see you in the Discord server. Again, that's originprotocol.com/Discord if you're not already in there, but you definitely should be. Any other closing thoughts before we go?
Thank you all for
next
being
time.
here. All right, until then.
See ya.
See ya. Bye bye.